Choosing Wisely is really designed to stimulate a conversation between physicians and other healthcare providers and patients about the use of unnecessary tests, treatments, and procedures, and help patients make good choices about high-quality care. For many years we've talked about doing more tests and more treatments, and often patients don't know that more is not always better in healthcare, because sometimes more tests lead to harm rather than helping patients. And we want to start having that conversation with patients and providers. So the first part of Choosing Wisely in the United States and in Canada and here in Italy has been to create lists of tests, treatments, and procedures led by the physicians themselves. Tests that may not be necessary. In fact, there's excellent scientific evidence that these tests and treatments don't add value to patients or might even be harmful. And now, the next steps are really not just creating the lists, but implementing these recommendations in practice. And that's what the next steps really are, is putting it into practice. So the impact is, it's in some cases, in some countries, too early to fully answer that. Because first we want to affect the attitudes of physicians and patients so that they start to understand how important it is to talk about what tests and treatments are not necessary. And we think that we are influencing the attitudes of physicians. Look how many physician organizations in so many countries. There are now 17 or 18 countries in the world doing Choosing Wisely. And so physicians have led this. And that's an indication that they support this campaign and are interested and think it's important. Patient attitudes are another very important thing, and in some countries we're starting to measure whether patients know about it and whether they agree with this program. And I think in Canada we have some good information about that. But of course what people ask about is it changing the actual practice of medicine? And we have some early information. For example, in one of the hospitals in Canada, they've decreased the use of unnecessary tests and treatments in several settings, like the emergency department, by about 40%. So we're starting to see real changes in practice, but overall, it's very early. So, of course, many patients will ask, what's the harm? Why don't we have another test just to be safe? But I think what patients learn from our materials is that that is really not accurate, because another drug, for example, can cause harm. You can have drug reactions that make you sick. And another test can have also harmful effects. For example, CAT scans, CT scans have radiation. And sometimes you have what's called a false positive, which means you see something and it's not really a true positive, and then you have to do a lot of other tests to pursue it. So sometimes it sounds like you're being safe, but in fact you might cause harm by doing unnecessary tests or treatments.